Did you know that by using insider language, the language that your audiences use every single day in their conversations with friends, family, and maybe in their own mind, you can start to stir up their emotions and get them to buying from you, generating more sales along the way? Today, I'm going to show you a very simple example of an email that was less than 100 words that was able to use a kind of a disgusting problem that most people deal with at some point in their life. By calling it out and stirring up the audience's emotions, I was able to generate more than 5 figures with just an email of about 95 words. I'm going to show you what that email looks like and how you can start to use insider language to connect with your audience, start to build that know, like, and trust factor, but also to let them know, like, hey, you're not a special snowflake dealing with this problem or bleeding neck problem that you're doing right now, and how to start to introduce and tease out your solution so that you can generate more sales conversations, whatever it is along the way. So this is the first time joining one of my lives. I am Brian Czekanski, and I help coaches and experts in particular add 50 plus thousand a month to their profit by closing all those leads that their sales team has completely given up following up on or contacting along the way. I do that without asking any of your prospects to jump on follow-up sales calls with me. I do everything via email, via chat, and a Google Doc to convert those leads that, again, your sales team has got to give it up on. So today I'm going to show you a simple example. Again, it's kind of I apologize in advance. It's kind of a disgusting problem that, again, maybe you've dealt with it, maybe you haven't. But really the point is that your audience is probably dealing with something right now that they just want to get out of. So again, it kind of depends on what your areas of focus is, but within the health space, as I'll show you in just a second, this kind of goes into the more disgusting side, but that's perfectly fine. Just really thinking about what the words that are going through your audience's mind, how they would just kind of discuss their problems with their friends. What are those words? What are those phrases that they typically use all the time? And again, this is why it's so important to, anytime you onboard a client, anytime you get success stories, is really thinking through and asking them to jump on a case study, getting an idea of why did they join your program, especially from a high ticket perspective. But even when they've gotten results, is sitting down with them and having a case study type of interview and really having them talk out, like, what is that full transformation that they've had, especially if they've gotten great results with you. But even if they've just joined your program, kind of going back into like, hey, what were you going through? What are you going through right now? And how would you describe those things? And again, doing this via a Zoom chat, recorded chat, is super important because most people will be able to start to articulate in words. Most people ask for it in writing or things like that. I wouldn't do that because most people will edit a lot of that stuff away. So if you can get a conversation with people via recording, you can start to get their authentic language. And really, as much as possible, you want your market to do the marketing for you. So really taking on, anytime you get a new client, let's jump on that first conversation and onboarding just to understand what their problems are, how would they describe them, what are those moments in the day where their problem was at their highest. Most people aren't dealing with their problem 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but there's specific time moments in their day, in their week, in their month where their pain is at their highest. So you want to understand that so you can start calling that out in your marketing, and you want to use the exact words and phrases that you're hearing from those new clients and also those existing clients, and echo that back to your audience. Again, especially with your success stories, we want to start to attract those people just like them. And an easy way of doing that is to start figuring out, like, okay, what is that insider type of language? Again, everybody's kind of speaking, that's watching this video. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but you're probably speaking the English language. But within the English language, there's so many different nuances in terms of how women talk, how males talk, among the various different demographics. All kinds of things. So, like, again, if you are using the right words and phrases, you're going to start to attract more people that you want to attract, and you can easily disqualify people that aren't the right fit for you. So really thinking about that. And again, almost thinking backwards, talk to those success stories that you've had, and how can you start to clone those people by using more of their language, kind of using their language and how they would describe their problem, the way they want to go. What is that dream scenario for them, and how will they describe that? What are those exact words and phrases along the way? So let's kind of get into it. again, kind of a very simple example of what it looks like. And you'll see it in just a second. So again, this was a health email that I put out. It's all about constipation. So obviously constipation isn't something that you kind of sit down and talk about with your friends a lot. You can see kind of in the opening line, like again, right from the start, what I'm trying to do is trying to build kind of that image. I'm trying to take the audience to that problem that maybe they don't deal with all the time. Maybe it's once a week, maybe it's a few times a month, but at some point in their journey, they are dealing with this exact scenario. I'm not even going to read it out because I don't want to go through it, but you can kind of see the verbiage here. So again, kind of take them back to that bathroom where they're dealing with this disgusting issue. They're dealing with this problem that they can't get any type of solution for. And I'm calling that out in a way that makes it really clear that, okay, I'm an insider here. And how did I find this first line? I went to a forum and started looking up. Again, I did kind of a Google search and went through various different forums. I'll just make this bigger just so that you can see it here just a little bit better. I went to forums and kind of took a look at that language. Like, how are people describing that issue at the time of this email? I hadn't really gone through constipation issues myself. So again, like sometimes you're writing and marketing for problems that you haven't dealt with yourself, and that's where you have to do a little bit more digging, or you have to talk to somebody, or you have to go into a Reddit forum, or you have to go into any number of online forums where you get a better sense of like, okay, the people that are dealing with this problem, how would they describe it? What are those situations where their pain is at their highest? And how can I almost copy and paste some of that? So again, in your case study interviews with people, take the transcripts and take those take the words that you're seeing all the time, take those exact phrases and copy and paste it into your Facebook ads, into your emails, into your sales pages. And by doing that, again, your audience is going to know that they're finally in the right place, that you understand where they're coming from, and you have the type of solution that they're looking for. So again, really easy here in this first line. I'm just calling out like, hey, I know what you're dealing with right now because I'm using insider language in terms of describing this. And then I call out in this third line, like, hey, you've got this problem that you didn't even know existed. So most people think about constipation. They think about, okay, I'm not getting enough fiber. I'm not getting enough this. I have to eat this, or I have to eat that, or I'm not drinking enough of this. In this scenario, I'm kind of going against all that conventional belief in terms of like what they should be eating, what they should be drinking, any number of that. And just calling out like, hey, you didn't know that you had this, but you have a disturbed metabolism. Again, I'm not even describing really what that is. I'm giving a little bit more curiosity here. So a serious condition that causes bloating, fatigue, unwanted belly fat to pile on if less unaddressed. So now what I'm doing here is I'm connecting, okay, maybe constipation is their number one problem right now. What I'm doing is kind of connecting that new problem that they didn't even know existed, and I'm connecting it to all these other uncomfortable problems they might be dealing with on other days or other weeks. Like, okay, maybe you might be constipated, but what about that bloating that you're dealing with? What about like being so tired in the afternoon? Did you know that all these things are related and they all go back to this one central problem? And then once we solve this problem, like all those things can go away. So you see how we're kind of calling out the bleeding neck problem, but we're also connecting it to likely other things that they're dealing with right now. People that are dealing with some digestion issues are probably dealing with a multitude of issues, but they probably have one thing that they're just like, I've got to get this solved right away. And they're buying all the different things to get that out there. Again, think of your audience as well. Like, what are they dealing with? What's that bleeding neck problem? What are some other conditions that are kind of related to that you can also call out as well to kind of, again, you want to be calling out just like an insider, say, like use some empathy, use some vulnerability, or just call it out a little bit more directly as I did here in this email. And what you're going to do is you're going to start to build that relationship because people are going to be like, wow, like this person really understands me. In this instance, I'm giving them some new insight into something that they didn't know before. And then I kind of get into the solution. So you can see here into the terms of the solution, like there's not a lot there. Like I'm not describing in detail how we can solve the disturbed metabolism. Luckily, there's a simple sunrise solution that heals your metabolism so you can enjoy regular bathroom breaks without strain, slimmer looking tummy, and clear, healthy looking skin. So again, go back to all that stuff they're dealing with: bloating, fatigue, unwanted belly fat. in the solutions that I'm talking about, I'm also like, it's very symmetrical in terms of what I'm talking about. So I've got this sunrise solution. Again, there's enough curiosity in this email just because it's 95 words. I'm not putting everything about the solution. I'm just trying to get them to click on this link that goes to, I think in this instance, kind of like a text sales letter that kind of goes into all those different things and builds further trust and builds further detail. But like, again, you can see how here I've got a lot of curiosity. I've got insider language, but I'm also calling out the things that they want. Like, I'm calling out symmetrically all those things that they're looking for. They want a tighter tummy. They want better looking skin. They don't want to have to, strain when they're on the toilet anymore. So you can kind of see the symmetry here. Like at the very top, I was talking about the bleeding neck problem that they wanted to get rid of the most. And at the bottom, I'm kind of starting to build that visualization of what their life could look like once we kind of handle some of those problems that this new problem that they didn't even know existed with their metabolism, and how this solution can potentially help with that along the way. So again, super simple in terms of 95 words that is out there, but you can see how effective it can be. Again, just kind of starting with like really understanding where your audience is coming from. Again, how I would do this if you haven't gone through the same problem as your audience is going through, if you don't have that same transformational story, start interviewing your prospects, start interviewing those new clients, start interviewing those success stories, and don't just focus on the results, but ultimately take them back to those moments where they were kind of suffering even before they hired you or joined your high ticket program or join your course or whatever that is. Take them back to that and find out, again, what were those moments? How would they describe those moments when they were in pain? How would they describe their problem? And what other related things were going on? What are other problems they can kind of connect it to? But again, what was that priority of problems that they were dealing with? And what other things did they try? Like, again, understanding what your audience is trying and why do they think those don't work are a huge part of it as well. And just kind of wanted to throw in, not to get into constipation and digging into it a little bit more, but kind of connected to this email, just wanted to throw in one additional thing. It's really thinking about kind of, that anytime you send out an email, in this case, we were able to kind of change around the from names. We were able to change around the subject lines. In this case, we would do a lot of testing around the from names. For your product, you're probably sending it from your own identity, your own personal name, but really thinking about the subject line is something that you should be always testing to get higher results along the way. In this case, we're kind of messing around with kind of the from names. We kept all the subject lines the same. You can see here, but we changed around the subject line. And this column right here is kind of the profit per every 1,000 emails that we send out. So you can see our PPM, as we called it, was hugely different based upon the from name that we send it out by. You can see the various different selections, like fecal impaction. Again, kind of a weird one that I didn't even come up with. My email list manager at the time did a Google search and came up with this. So all credit to him. But you can see in terms of profits, the amount of revenue, but also the profits they were able to generate from this one email, which again was only 95 words, generated close to double, and sometimes more than double, just based on that. So again, just 2 words, just changing that from name makes a huge difference. Again, I would say I could show you a bunch of different examples of where changing around the subject line, different formats, different words, different phrases. So always be testing subject lines to generate more curiosity, to use different words in there. Again, I think one of the reasons that this worked really well is like, nobody's really heard of that before. It generated a lot of curiosity, and it ultimately led to more people opening up that email, but ultimately, clicking on the link at the end of that email and ultimately buying that product on the other side, just because it formed kind of that was kind of the front door that they came in with. So like that was in the front of their mind in terms of the problems that they needed to get solved, and a serious problem. So again, constipation, like if you don't deal with it and get a solution to it, we're kind of calling out that worst case scenario in terms of that one email there. But just something to keep in mind. Again, not to get into the weeds in terms of constipation, but I kind of took an extreme example here to kind of bring it to life a little bit. So again, using that insider language, everybody's got those problems that they don't feel comfortable talking with their friends, their family, but they need them solved today. So again, if you can kind of meet your audience exactly where they are, use that exact insider language that they would use, you're going to immediately start to build a relationship with them. And in my cases, it's a great way to get people to respond to those emails, get them into a sales conversation, re-engage them. So again, they might be an inactive subscriber on your list. I was able to re-engage them in a sales conversation and ultimately convert them even after your sales team has kind of given up on them. So again, if you're a coach or an expert and you've got an email list that's 5K or more, and you've got a high ticket product that's probably 5K or more in terms of that price point, and you've got a long list of success stories, and you know that you're probably leaving money on the table because you've got a low ticket product and you're trying to get more people with that high ticket product, or maybe you're running a webinar funnel and you know there's people falling through the cracks, I can work with you and have a conversation with you to see if we're on the right fit to potentially create a bolt-on type of profit center where I can start to close those high ticket leads that your sales team, again, has given up on. Usually it's after 30 days. If your sales team isn't able to convert them, they kind of put them onto the side. They start focusing on all those new leads that are coming through in Facebook, Google, whatever it is along the way. But what you should know is there's kind of hidden gold hiding right under your nose, and I can help to start to monetize that for you. I do everything on a rev share basis, so no upfront fee whatsoever. But obviously, I don't work with everybody. So, like, if it sounds like something that fits your criteria and basically what I talked about, let's have a conversation. Got my contact information below. Feel free to reach out. We can see if there's a good fit there, and we can start to monetize again all those leads that your sales team has given up on. And what it equates to, usually in a testing scenario, is for many of my coaches and experts, 50K or more in terms of that profit that is kind of sitting right under their nose that we can realize for them and bring it to fruition. So with that, hit like on whatever platform you're watching on. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, and I will see you on a future live.